Here is a special compilation from Dr. John Stahl-Wert, the founder and CEO of World Serving Leaders. Be sure to visit our website for more inspiring words.
I think I have talked with 100 founders who have described to me that strange and insecure day when they got up in the morning and they went, I'm thinking that I'm going to check in with my people and I'm going to do some work. And I got to stop thinking that way. Taking care of my people was the work. Helping this company thrive, survive, strategize, grow is the work. And I am actually holding my company back by thinking I'm going to do the work. I know people who haven't learned that lesson, and their employees are not happy people, and their customers are not happy people. Where's the boss? Well, he's over there plumbing a job himself while we're over doing 4 other sites. Well, we need some things. We can't reach him. Before we learn this lesson, we create problems. There is a day when the leader is heading out to the truck and says, wait a second. I'm thinking I'm going to go and see what my guys need and make a few calls, and then I'm going to go do my work. And that thinking is broken. I've got to change the paradigm. I have run into the ceiling of that way of thinking. You know, we're accustomed to showing our value by doing stuff. A day comes when we have to stop that. We show our value by developing our business. We show our value by helping others become good at doing stuff. And my guys are probably going to laugh at me like, hey, boss, big boss now, huh? Right? Yeah. Didn't even bring your tools. You're too good for that work. You know, that could be delivered painfully or it could be delivered in jest. Often it's delivered in joy. You know, workers like to be important when they do the work, and they don't necessarily want you to keep showing up doing their job. They want to be trusted to do their job. A business owner has to stop working in the business and has to start working on the business. Strategizing, visioning, imagining the future, planning, finding the resources, developing your people, they're the ones doing the work, and we become servants to them. That one trips everybody, and that one thwarts quite a few fatally. And so you get to a certain point in the growth of your company, you have people who are frustrated because they're not getting what they need on time, and you're not following up with the subcontractors, and the supplies weren't ordered because you're doing the work. And they say, you know what, I'm going somewhere else. Or they're just feeling demeaned because you don't value them enough as the skillful people that they are, and they think, I'm going to go work for someone who really trusts me to do the work. There's another one that happens later in the growth of our company. And I don't know at what size one should anticipate this. The day comes when we turn authority and responsibility for very important decisions over to key lieutenants. Now, this isn't just turning the work over. That's a lower threshold that we need to cross. You know, we graduate up into the boss role and the servant boss role, and our people really take the doing role of the company. That's a lower threshold, but at a higher threshold, we reach a size where there isn't enough of us to make the decisions that matter. And if everything has to funnel back to us, we become a massive bottleneck to goodness and to thriving in our company. We reach a point where our idea of being the one in charge now, making decisions, all the critical things pass through us, also has to be set aside. In a sense, we're leaving another set of tools at home. You know, the executive role and function requires something else of us, which is difficult. And that something else that is required is that we have to trust key lieutenants to make important decisions, and they're authorized to do it. And when we hear the decisions that are made, we have their back. And when we don't agree with the decisions that are made, you know, in the plant down the road or in the division that's in the next state, we have grown-up conversations about that, not to undermine and yank back. We're actually in charge here, but as a growing opportunity, because we need that person to be a decision maker. You know, we don't want to reach in and yank back a decision made by a key lieutenant who has authority and then lose that person. Guess what happens there? Our company snaps to a smaller size. We have to break through these ceilings. That ceiling is us. That more senior ceiling, the executive ceiling, is a tough one, because we essentially have reached a size in which we need, we call them in Asia, C-1, the chief -1, senior vice presidents, plant managers, general managers taking the helm of divisions of the company that we are the chief of, or we are the general manager of. We need a leader of a caliber at that C-1 level who, quite frankly, could run their own company. And if we are reaching in and redoing their decisions, and if we are reaching in and undermining or going around them, we don't get to keep that person. When we're down at the lower level and we're the boss, and we've got 5 trucks on the road or whatever it is, we have 35 people, and we go out to our workers who are doing the work, they're doing the doing, and we say, you know what? I need you to redo that. That isn't how we do it. I need you to redo it. We're the boss and they're the doer. That's all right. And maybe we have, an employee who quits, but they quit because they don't want to work according to our standard. Up here, when we go out to a lieutenant who in her own right or in his own right could run an enterprise, that person has a design requirement built into them to have authority. That's the trickiness at that level. Well, we have authority, yeah, but there's not enough of us to go around. And so we have to entrust, we have to, as it were, delegate authority so that people responsible and authorized to drive decisions and actions and production and goodness in a domain can. And that requires a change of practice. And so we're no longer reaching around them, or we're no longer sidebarring and asking their employees to come and talk to us. They are the person that is in charge of that, and we protect that. And as I said earlier, when there's something that is going on between us and that person that we don't see eye to eye, we deal with that, at a grown-up level. As a learning opportunity, we find out maybe we were wrong in our disagreement with a decision that was made good. It's good for me to learn that. Or maybe it was more complex than I understood it. And now that I see the bigger picture, I understand why they made that decision. Or maybe we're just not aligned. Maybe we've reached a point where we understand that person is not fundamentally aligned with the purposes of this company or the standards of customer care or excellence or integrity that we hold. So we have to deal with that. But we're not in charge of what they're in charge of. They are. And we're in a new role. And that one, it's described to me in a variety of ways by senior executives who reach that point. It feels very wobbly to them. They're used to having their hand right on the steering wheel, as it were, the steering wheel of command. And their hands come off and they realize they have others who have their hands on the steering wheel of command. And it's a learning curve of understanding how to guide the people who have responsibility at that level while honoring them and appreciating what they bring to the table. Leadership is not a thing we learn once. It is a lifelong journey of learning. And, we have early ones, I've talked about them, where we just get comfortable in the role. And then as growth happens, we have to learn other lessons. There's a final one that we go through. I've talked about it many times. I will talk about it here. And that's the learning of entirely letting go and stepping down and stepping back and turning over, letting go. The hands are off of everything. And now the enterprise is under the command of your successor or maybe one of your children or what have you. That one I've addressed often. These lower learning lessons prepare us for the ultimate one. The final test of our leadership is that things are really great and we're not there. That's the final test. And that's a good one because we really do want to, at the age of 70 or 80 or whatever you think is the age when you don't want burden and you want to spend all of your time in being a blessing. We want to be thinking from that vantage point about how the people who followed are doing a good job. And while there are always pangs when we learn each of these lessons, I really did like doing the plumbing myself. I really did enjoy the drywalling myself. There are pangs of letting that go. I really did trust my own judgments strategically and decisively, Now other people are making decisions. And I really did like to be at the center of that company. And, now there are employees over there who don't even know who I am. There are pangs attached to these letting go moments. But we really do want, at the end of the day, to bear those so that we can look at the things that we cared about and the things that we did and the things that we invested in and the people that we developed and see that it's all beautiful.
For more information about the Center for Serving Leadership, visit our website at centerforservingleadership.com.